Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad to hear this morning. Got a great show lined up. But first, let's take a look at our weather. Brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning, Drew Pollard and hardworking group. And don't forget to bring some toys now if you get a chance. The party's tomorrow night around 6 o'clock and running by the store today or just dropping by the party. Get some good food. Now, there'll be all kind of food there, oysters and a little bit of everything. I'm going to be there. Gail's going to be there. We won't be singing and dancing, but we'll be fellowshipping and talking to a lot of folks and enjoying ourselves. So just drop in. It's an open invitation, okay? And also get to spend some time with me. The weather today is going to be nice. 71 high, 58 low. Water temperature at the end of the pier is 67 at the end of the pier. That's sort of a combination out a little bit further, 72, but right there is 67. Our river readings, this is the news today. Look at the Apalachicola Bluntstown, folks. It is jumping up. Look at it, it's going up to 8.2. Remember just the other day, they're down around 2 to 3 foot. Now look at it, it's really strong tide, really strong river flow coming into the tidal bays. Choctaw at Carabille is rising too. It's about a 6.8 tonight, so we got an 8 foot and 7 foot reading on the two rivers. They really jumped up, and a lot of swift water this weekend if you're going to plan to be out in a smaller craft or something, and a lot of stuff's going to be washing down. It's going to be a lot of moving water, okay? So be aware of what's going on with the rivers. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. Not much movement. Today, December the 2nd, we're in neap tides today and tomorrow. I always look forward to next weekend. Next weekend is really strong tides, and but anyway, this weekend not a lot of movement. The wind actually is going to be low 11:41 and high at 12:15, but just not much movement. The wind will be coming out of the east now at about 9. Let's go into our fishing game times today, with it being Friday. Brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. They have all kind of neat Christmas stuff down there. Okay, looking at our time today, 6:20 to 8:20 this morning, and 6:43 to 8:43 this evening. All right, let's take a break and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. The first word this morning, Panthers. Can't get away from the Panthers. Folks, it's always when I bring it up, I get some feedback. Everybody sort of gets excited about it also. And then I get pictures, okay? Now this comes from up in Bonifay. George Howell, I've known George a long time, he and his family. Good folks up there, good outdoorsman. He's been a loyal viewer for a long time. Check this out, what he just sent to us. Hi Winston, this is George Howell from Bonifay. This is a picture from my grandson, Mason Howell's trail camera. It appears to be a Florida panther, taken about 120 yards from his house on Highway 173, 6 miles from Bonifay. Okay, check it out, folks. Now that looks like a panther to me. And that's a fairly recent picture, and George, I appreciate you sending that. And it's just interesting. It's caused quite a stir. A lot of folks, I still want to believe there are panthers in here. Like I say, that's one of them on my property. I can't prove that one though, but this is what it's supposed to look like. Then I had someone else send me a picture, let's see, right here. From, hey, this had this show up on my trail cam in Vernon a few years back. FWC told me it was a big bobcat. So they had it checked out and all. So anyway, we're talking about pictures of panthers and all. Y'all keep them coming. And like I say, it's special to me. I've always had this belief there's some panthers in the Florida Panhandle, and I guess it goes against scientific evidence. But when you see stuff like that, I still, deep down inside, I think there's panthers up here. I think there might be in Tate's Hill, but that one's right there in Bonifay, not downtown Bonifay. Okay, let's get our, goodness gracious, our pictures. We've got several kinds to show. Let me see right here. Okay, we'll skip this one. I want to read this to you. This is a picture of one of my former students. He's in college now. I'm going to actually read this to you because, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to read it next segment. I want to go ahead and show some of our other pictures. Let's go into this one right here. Let's go into this one right here. Morning Winston. Lori and I planned a morning of clamming at St. Joe State Park on Cape San Blas. Thanks for the tide information. The 28th was a nice day with super low tide. I came home with just enough of clam chowder. Okay, check it out. Is that cool or what? I know they had a good time. This is from Ansel Levy over there, and Ansel's been watching the show a very long time, and appreciate him sharing this. What I also want to share with you, we're talking about the importance of tides and all. Remember last week we were talking about super low tides, and this was a super low tide. You can see the park right there. That is when you can get out and get out a little bit deeper and find those clams. You can't do it on high tide, but that's why I talk a lot about the tides on the show. And these real good outdoorsmen understand exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, some pictures here. Nice catch over the holidays. Let's see, Ronnie Fowler sent this. Ronnie Fowler, nice catch, Ronnie. Okay, check this out. Dinosaurs in the dunes. This is going to be Friday, a week from today, at St. Joe State Park. And I've never really thought about dinosaurs at the state park. It's an event. It's open to anyone. On the bottom there, what to expect. Do you know descendants of dinosaurs can be found at Stone Memorial St. Joe Park? They're going to have an expedition, so bring your binoculars to help with the hunt of these dinosaurs in the dunes. You meet at Eagle Harbor. The program is free with just a park pass. So that's interesting. I'm thinking, I just don't know what to think. I don't know, but anyway, if you want something to do next Friday, that sounds like it's fun. Okay, here we go. Hey, Winston did some whooping up on some crappie in a Sunny Hills lake. So much fun from a kayak later. Gary Giddens. Check out this picture, folks. Is that not cool? I told Gary he needs to send this picture down to Sunjammers to Brad and let them send it to Hobie. That would be a good commercial for Hobie kayaks. Now, don't you know that was fun catching those out of a kayak? Good job, Gary. Okay, and again, the toy drive we mentioned is tomorrow night, and let's see, that's gonna wrap up the pictures. I've got this other stuff I want to read. Let's go and take a break now, and I'll come back and do this. Okay, welcome back. Well, just one of the fun things about doing this show is just the different things that I get to partake in and get to be a part of, and just there's so many things going on. You know how I feel about heritage, and then also about doing all kind of fun things. This particular picture here is special to me. This was last Saturday. I spent the day, all day, up there in West Gadsden County, sitting there with Scott Clark right there, and standing up, Mr. Mac Eubanks. Mr. Eubanks was actually my guidance counselor at Quincy High School many years ago. Both these gentlemen are 87 years young now, and the Clark Farm, let me tell you how I got one of our loyal viewers is right here locally, Judge Brantley Clark. That's Brantley's dad. The Clark Farm is a pioneer farm in West Gadsden, which means it's been there over 100 years. The Clark family came down there in 1848, about the same time some of our family came into West Gadsden. So we've known of each other. And Brantley had talked to me before about the family. Every year on Thanksgiving they all get together and they do sugarcane grinding. And folks, I spent 8 hours up there. It was a wonderful time. I got there early and went through the whole process of the sugarcane and cooking it down into syrup. I know you've seen some of this before, but we went from beginning to the end with wonderful fellowship, talking about different things and all. But I wanted to share this with you. I say, Mr. Eubanks and Mr. Clark have been friends since they were kids. Okay, 87 years of friendship, and they still live close to each other. So, doing this, I'm saying all this. Next week, I will have the video of making that cane syrup. In fact, right here, I'm gonna show you this. I went home. When I got home, Gail made me a big old stack of pancakes right there, and you see that bottle in my right hand? That was still warm from the cooking. And you talking about that was my supper that night, and I sort of pigged out. I ate way too much. On the right, it says Pioneer, Century Pioneer family, the family that actually did it. We appreciate the Clark family, just appreciate it. Anyway, that was just a lot of fun. It was good stuff and all. One other thing I want to add, and I'm going to, well, I may just show this later. We need to get on to this right here. So anyway, next week we'll have that video, and cane syrup, I absolutely love it, especially when it's warm. It's still warm, and we had Gail don't like it, but I eat enough for both of us. So that's part of our heritage here in Florida, Panhandle, and South Alabama and South Georgia, about making the sugar cane and all. Okay, let's. I'm going to read this to you. It's going to be a little brief. It's pretty good, but it's worth reading because this is real people doing real things here in Florida Panhandle. This is from one of my former students, Ryland Spitzer. Good afternoon, Coach. I just wanted to send in a few deer pictures from a buck I shot on the 20th in Georgia. I met my friend Andrew in Troy in 2018, and his family has allowed me to come hunt their property each year since then. This year, I think I can picture all of this. This is how people do things, okay? This year it worked out perfectly because both of my classes that were scheduled on the Monday of Thanksgiving break were canceled. That's always good. So I was able to go hunt during the rut in that part of Georgia. I got there on the 18th, and Andrew and I set up a ladder stand. Andrew put out a camera, checked the camera. We decided we saw this deer. I was going to target. I hunted that stand each afternoon and saw tons of deer. On the 20th, I got in the stand very early because Andrew had an event he had to go to. I was tired of sitting at the house, so I got in there early. I let one shooter walk out, and let him go, and then this other deer came out and shot the deer around 5 o'clock. I say all of this just to say how grateful I am of the outdoors and how it has brought me one of my closest friends. Without our love for hunting, Andrew and I would not be nearly as good as friends as we are. Is that not a great testimonial? I finally graduated from law school this year, and I will move back home, yay, to pursue a job in the legal profession. Hopefully I will be able to send you more hunting and fishing pictures as well. Hope you and your family are doing well, and hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Ryland Spitzer. That just makes me feel good to see that kind of stuff happen. I've known Ryland. He was in our class, and the bond that you get when you're doing something with your friends like that, and it's just a cool thing. So here's Ryland. Here's a picture of Ryland right here. Does he look happy or what? Okay. Got a couple of pictures of it. Here's another turn sideways. He'll always remember this hunt, but these were just some friends that just invited him over. His roommates. Look at the size of the foot right there. His roommate's friend. Okay, right there too. Okay, so good job, Ryland Spitzer. Speaking of deer hunting, I do have this picture here, and it's going to look nondescript to you, okay, but this is special, okay? This right here, when I went up to the Clark farm last Saturday, I was able, nothing special about it, is it? Well, it's special because that spot right there is where the Florida state record buck was taken. It was in the hunt season 1977 in January. And I remember it well because you've seen the video of the interview with my late cousin, Larry Furr, and that's right there on the Clark farm, which is where we're doing the cane grinding. And in fact, one of the things I asked Mr. Clark during the day, before I left that day, would he take me down to that spot where Larry, to that area. I'd never been to it. I knew about where Larry, the general area, but I never knew the spot. So actually, it was on the corner of this road right here, of Edwin Clark Road, and it was just really. So I walked. Actually, it was. I don't want to talk about it being hold the ground or anything, but for a hunter, it's very special to me to walk out there, and in my head I could remember Larry telling me detail by detail of that buck. And what's still amazing to me, that is still the state record set in 1977. Think all the huge bucks taken from Jackson County and all the place, Madison County, all throughout Florida, and it still has not surpassed that record buck. And that's just, I've looked at most of the other state records, and they've been broken many times since that era of the 60s and 70s. So I got to do that, and I'll have that on the video also. So it was just a special time being able to do all of that. So anyway, I wanted to take a picture of it. I know, and actually that was sort of a field that's grown up since then, and the deer actually have running across that field. Okay, now let's get ready for our drawing. That's our Friday show. We're going to do the drawing, so we're going to give a $20 gift certificate for anything you like to get down at Tarpon Dock Seafood, all the way from Chattahoochee. Ned Maxwell, finally won, Ned. Okay. I know you're gonna get more than $20 worth when you come down here. I know you're gonna get some shrimp too. All right, big red snapper is going to be, the winner of that is going to be Michael Walsh. Michael Walsh and Ned Maxwell winning our fresh seafood for this week. And I don't know about you, but I love fresh seafood this time of year. In the wintertime, it's really good. I was up in Vernon the other day with my friend Benny Forehand, and went by D's, and they had some fresh grouper for lunch, and I just couldn't turn it down. I get a kick out of that. I always ask the waitress, I said, when I see it on the board, is the grouper fresh? Of course, you know what they're going to say, but she hesitated a minute, like, why was I supposed to ask that? Because, yes sir, it is fresh. I mean, because always, places like that, D's up there in Vernon, the Kangas and Jennifer, I appreciate that. Nice restaurant up in Vernon. All right, let's take a break, we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. We're going to take a look at our famous Friday fishing forecast and all kind of things going on. We don't have a lot of tides, but this is I wrote down the top 3 things caught this week. 1, 2, 3. Crappie, sheephead, and flounder have been what has been caught. Now remember, flounder season opened back up. What kind of bait do you use for crappie minnows? What kind of bait do you want to use for sheephead? Fiddler crabs. You can't go wrong with fiddler crabs. I haven't talked a lot about fiddler crabs. When I first started doing the show, I actually did videos of that little fiddler army running through the marshes and all. But fiddler crabs are ideal. Now they sell them, they actually go buy them. I've never bought fiddler crabs. I've always been able to catch them, and it's a lot of fun. But that's the best bait for sheephead. Of course, the best bait for flounder, of course, would be live bull minnows. And there's still some flounder out there now. And I'm going to show you some spots to go. But I do want to talk about also a scattered report of a couple of pompano being caught and some redfish. It's been a decent week on redfish before the weather moved in. And this time of year, remember the speckled trout are what we call staging, getting ready to stage and move to other places. It's interesting. And some of the places they stage would actually surprise you. But what I wanted to talk about this morning, I was thinking last night putting this together, is actually fishing the ditch. Of course, the ditch is the intercoastal waterway, and the heavy-duty fishermen call it the ditch. Well, I'm going to go down the ditch because really that's what it was. So let's start. This time of year, especially December, I've had some of my finest fishing ever in December fishing the ditch at special places. So this is over in Choctawhatchee Bay, starting over in Choctawhatchee Bay, and just going, and here we go. We're working from west to east, okay? And they're just spots all along, moving slowly all along places. And you just need to find, I'm not going to give you a special place, but anytime you get a little indentation, some kind of structure, some kind of movement where the water stops and goes, you want to check those out. So, but then getting down here to West Bay, okay, I want to go all the way to West Bay, because I talk a lot about the West Bay Bridge, but from between the West Bay Bridge through this area right in here, see we got the boat ramp there, and you can put in the ramp and just run all the way. Really good fishing along the ditch, okay? Also, I want to go down here on the other end, on the East Bay, moving on along. You're going to hit the ditch up here and go all the way down to White City, okay? That's one of my favorite spots. We talk about fishing right in that area there where the ditch comes in, but White City is just a good place. You can put in right down here Highland View Canal, run up the canal, okay, and then go either way. And I've caught right there in the center screen. We've caught, Gal and I've had some really good trips, but between right there and White City, there's a great section of fishing. I mean, really, if you want to really focus on some fishing, this coming December, and then between White City, as you go through the Wimico, between White City and Wimico, great fishing right in there. I mean, some really, really good fishing. So, and then right there, of course, the creeks and all. The creek's going to be good. I want to mention, I did write down some creeks. You got Pine Log Creek is going to be good. Black Creek, going back over on the Choctawhatchee side, Black Creek. Black Creek is excellent this time of year, especially as the fish start going up into a Black Creek, and also Holmes Creek, some of our top creeks, and also a bounce down from that area all the way down to Carabel, to the Carabel River. So really in the month of December and really on into January, creek fishing is going to be really good, as will be the fishing the ditch. And so that you want to gear up for something like that. I'll tell you the bait to use if you red fishing, you want to red fish those areas. As you know, I fish a lot of Paul Browns and skittle walks and different things like that, but I like the suspended bait. But winter fishing, like I said, this is December now, going to start getting cool, but those are some really good places to go. Surf fishing is going to really slack off in December and January and February. I wouldn't really plan on doing much of that, but the biggest thing we've talked about before is maybe targeting the sheephead along all the bridges, the old bridges like the Lynn Haven Bridge, the East Point Bridge we talk about a lot, the Choctawhatchee bridges, any kind of pilings you can fish from. Some of these have fishing areas. Sometimes you're going to take your boat up there and fish around that structure. Even the seawalls where it goes into the channel, on the back side of those sheephead will congregate. And what we did way back in the day, we had like a shovel, a flat hole like that, and would scrape down the side and sort of chum the water up, and then drop down some fiddler crabs. And also, you can fish with oysters. In fact, you can take an ice chest full of oysters out there, eat one, and then put one on the hook. And because that's good natural bait. Just make sure you don't get the hook mixed up with the one you want to eat. And, okay, I got about 30 seconds. I want to thank y'all so much. We had a good week here. Next week we have some good video coming up. Hope you enjoyed that video we had yesterday with the gambling family. That was just a wonderful special trip, which is what so many of our outdoor activities are, just special trips with special people. And I think not just the catching and the harvesting of game, a lot of times it's just a fellowship of being out there, as Ryland Spitzer talked about in his letter. So we're going to wrap it up. You have a good weekend. You take care of yourself. Make sure you do something good for someone else. Don't forget the toy drive party tomorrow night over there in Southport, okay? Y'all have a great weekend. Do something good for someone else, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.